should women stay in abusive marriages?
बेटी का जनाजा निकलना चाहिए शादी के बाद, या कुछ हो जाए किसी तरीके से करो, शादी चलाओ. Even if you are miserable with each other and it's a toxic marriage, शादी चलाओ. अल्लाह ने तो ये नहीं कहा. You have to do what the in-laws say, what the husband says, and that is not Islam. इस्लाम में ऐसी कोई कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है कि आप अपनी मर्जी ज़बरदस्ती किसी के ऊपर ठोसे.
हमारे दीन में जुल्म करना और बर्दाश्त करना दोनों मना है.
डर किस बात का? जब मालिक कायनात आपकी साइड पे है तो फिर डर किस बात?
एक कॉन्फिडेंस जो फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस लेके आती है, इट्स अनमैचेबल विद एनीथिंग एल्स. हाउ वुमेन वर एम्पावर्ड ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम वर्सेस द वुमेन नाउ.
मुसलमान औरतें अगर तब की, उस वक्त की सहाबियात जो मुसलमान औरतें थी, अगर आज की मुसलमान औरतों को देखेंगी तो यकीन करें, I'm being a bit harsh, but they will be disgusted. ये victims हम तो बेचारी नहीं है, वो तो शेरनियाँ थी.
हर किसी का ब्लूप्रिंट डिफरेंट है, पर हर किसी को अल्लाह ने बनाया है और किसी वजह से बनाया है. अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम रमशा सुल्तान है एंड दिस इज़ माई फर्स्ट एवर पॉडकास्ट. आज मेरी गेस्ट है मिस इरम सईद, हु इज़ द फाइनेस्ट लाइफ कोचेज इन द सब कॉन्टिनेंट. और आज हमारी बात होने वाली है ऑन टॉपिक्स लाइक फ्रेंडशिप विद अल्लाह, मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज, women empowerment and a lot more. So let's get started with the video. Assalamu alaikum, Miss Iram. Welcome to my YouTube channel. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. I am absolutely wonderful and very, very excited to be here with you today, Ramsha. This is inshallah going to be a really, really great venture, which I hope will help many people.
Inshallah. So before we start, I just want to tell you few things. So मैंने आपको first time Instagram पे देखा through reels in which you were talking about friendship with Allah, which is a topic really close to my heart. And उसके बाद I started watching a lot more of your videos and slowly I got to know that you also do a course which is called 30 Days Transformation Course. And I got in touch with your team and I enrolled in that course. And I want to tell you that I have been in therapy for 4 to 5 years. But in 4 से 5 सालों में the therapists have not told me the techniques जो आपने इस 30 day course में सिखाई. And I was mind blown कि आपने ज़िंदगी जीने के लिए कुछ ऐसी टेक्निक्स बता दी which are basically coping mechanisms. And I absolutely loved the course. And apart from that, what I loved the most about you was you connect science and spirituality both. So what happens is people who believe in science, they completely negate the existence of God. Whereas people who are into spirituality, they don't give weight to science. But you did both the things beautifully, which made a lot more sense to a youth like me. You are doing a remarkable work and I am truly grateful that I get to connect with you today. And inshallah today we'll be talking about a lot more things जो कि personally मुझे भी मदद करेंगी and it will help a lot more people to learn a lot about life, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. I am so honored and humbled by your words, Ramsha. Science तहकीक-ए-हकीकत है और कुरान बयान-ए-हकीकत है. So बयान हो चुका 14 साल पहले, अब हम तहकीक कर रहे हैं. And a lot of times, if science is in contradiction to Quran, then the tahqiq must go on. It has not yet found the answer. Quran गलत नहीं हो सकता, right? क्योंकि वो बयान हो चुका है. So for me, you know, because I was a science student, I've done pre-medical, the secrets of the universe actually always made sense to me through science. So I actually connected to God and spirituality through a scientific mind. It just made so much sense. Course जो आपने mention किया 30 Days to Transformation, it has transformed the lives of over 1,000 people, alhamdulillah. Transformation becomes harder and harder as we grow older. As we, for somebody in their 20s, it'll be easier than somebody in their 30s, and then so on and so forth. So I have seen this. They are able to transform very, very quickly. क्योंकि वो जो belief patterns हैं, which are not necessarily serving people in life, वो भी इतने पक्के नहीं हुए होते. So उनको unravel करना, उनको change करना, आसान है. Plus, I think people in your generation are more open to saying, you know what, perhaps what I was raised with was not really true. I am willing to explore. Are there other
Yeah.
options available? Is there something else that's possible? Right? So it's a mindset thing also. And I love it when younger people like yourself actually take the course and are able to transform. So it's very fulfilling for me.
Thank you so much. And I truly believe this because हमारी generation जो है वो question कर रही है cultural norms को which don't necessarily align with Islam. So a change is coming, which is a good change, and it was much needed in our society. So today
True.
I'll be asking you few questions which I gathered while going through your course, and let's begin. So these would be deep questions. Let's directly dive into them.
I am prepared for your deep questions with a cup of tea. So
Perfect.
let's go.
I want to ask you कि एक इंसान के लिए खुदा की एग्जिस्टेंस कितनी ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है. What is your life without Allah?
Great question. एक इंसान के लिए खुदा की existence कितनी ज़्यादा important है और बल्कि क्यों important है? Growing up, I was in not denial of God, but I was in a fight with God. You know, I had a strong mind. I was very stubborn, rebellious. I was born that way. I like to question everything, right? So, सबसे पहले खुदा को ही question किया. Blamed him for a lot of the things that I didn't like in my life. And that continued for well into my 30s. So I went into mind sciences. This is what the West is preaching, right? They don't even use the word God now. You know, they will use the word universe or, you know, universal intelligence because
Higher
they don't want to
power.
offend. Right. Higher power, higher self. You are divine. You are God. I was fortunate enough to learn with some of the top teachers in the world. I learned many energy healing techniques, many of the mind sciences techniques. And it all took me just so far. एक हद तक जाती थी और उसके बाद it would stop. And एक जिसको तिश्नगी कहते हैं, right? We can speak some little bit harder Urdu words. तिश्नगी meaning प्यास रह जाती है, thirst रह जाती है. So that still remained. Like I didn't feel like this was the answer that I was looking for. अब मेरे पास वो तमाम tools भी मौजूद थे. I knew how to heal. I knew how to get past blocks. I knew how to move energy. I had all those tools. And yet I could not get out of that deeply depressive state and had a lot of anxiety and panic attacks. सब कुछ छिन गया और वो बहुत एक scary चीज होती है because now you know therapist cannot help you, a life coach cannot help you, a spiritual teacher cannot help you, and you feel very scared कि ये क्या हो गया? Now what? So a lot of the tools and the techniques that you really relied on were kind of the noise. And when you rise above it, there really is only one answer, and that is God. So congratulations, you've actually found the answers that you were looking for. So God, to answer your question, without God, without Allah, you are not going to find peace.
True.
You know, we know
Very true.
if psychology was the answer, Ramsha, then there are so many psychologists. Like in America, one of the highest rates of suicide in a certain profession happens to be psychologists. So it's not that the knowledge alone about how the brain works is going to give you peace. You could be the best neurologist and not have peace in your heart or in your life.
True.
Because we are missing a very important point that we don't realize, and that is that peace is in the heart. Heart is the seat of the soul. The soul is connected to Allah Ta'ala. The nourishment of the soul is from Allah Ta'ala. The soul came from Allah Ta'ala. The soul must be a connection to Allah Ta'ala. Otherwise, it will not rest. And as long as the soul is connected to that source, then you will have peace in your heart. Otherwise, you will not.
So you beautifully explained the connection of heart with the soul and soul with Allah. You mentioned that you always end up talking about Allah, which is me in most of the situations. And then I feel like, why do I always end up talking about Allah in every situation? You said in your videos that Allah is your best friend. So, can you please explain more about this? How did you find that out of all the humans in the world, you prefer Allah as your best friend?
It was a lifetime journey, Ramsha. I told you I didn't start out by calling him my best friend. I actually one day called out to him and I said, I hate you. When a girl gets married, she's taught she can rely on her husband. Well, that was taken away from me not once but twice, and in very ugly ways, like there was abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. So everything that I thought I could rely on, which the culture had taught me, or the environment, or the parents, or whatever, that got taken away from me. And as I said, it was a long journey. But once I started to realize that there is one constant always, whether I like him or not, he's always there. He's all powerful. This is a very personal story that on my 40th birthday, and this was after my second divorce, and it was my birthday. Nobody was there. I was alone in my apartment. And I was saying my prayers. I think it was either Maghrib or Isha. It was dark outside in Dallas. And I was just totally broken, because that day I had kind of I had made this bucket list. And I looked at that bucket list and I was so far from it. So, it was so dismal to see that I had pretty much achieved nothing on that bucket list that I was supposed to have achieved by the time I turned 40. And I remember distinctly feeling so broken, so down, that in my sajda, I was talking to him and I said, what do you want from me? I am so broken. I have not done anybody any harm. I think I'm a good person. I try to do good. And you have left me to the dogs. I'm all alone and I'm broken. I have nothing. My money was gone. My job was gone. My career was finished. Even there was constant battle for custody, and it was just peace of mind was gone. So I was in sajda, and as I was crying, and I said, you've left me all alone and you've left me to the dogs. And I just saw this vision. Maybe it was my brain. I like to believe it was Allah Ta'ala showing me something. So I saw this vision of me sitting in the middle of a bonfire. And the flames are really big. And I'm being burnt. First, my clothes get burnt. Then my skin gets burnt. And there's like layers and layers that get burnt again and again. And then finally, there is pure gold underneath. And I realized when I saw that God is showing me that you had taken on the burden of all these false identities and false expectations that people have of you, that society have of you, that, parents had of you or whatever. And I know what you are inside because I made you. And I cannot stand to see all these rags that you have put on yourself. So I'm going to burn them away because that is how much I love you. And I realized that nobody had seen me, even though my parents loved me very much. But my true potential that God showed me, nobody had told me of that. So that was the journey of forming a very loving friendship with him. I'm passionate about reading the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. I was reading about the scene of the passing of our dear Prophet ﷺ. This is moments before his passing. And he kept saying, Anta Rafiqul Ala, Ya Rabbi, Anta Rafiqul Ala, words to that effect. Rafiqul Ala, highest of companions. In other words, best friend. So I said, if Prophet ﷺ, what went through my mind was, and I encourage people to do the same thing, when you read about the seerah of the Prophet, try to see the human, try to relate to the human being, the man. Because when we just think, oh, the Prophet the itne ala the, rahmatul alameen, Allah ke mahboob, we kind of create a disconnect. But when you think of him as a human being with emotions and feelings, and he was in, he had high fever, and you try to kind of relate to that. And what I realized was कि what kind of practice did he have कि वो इतनी deep उनके अंदर जा चुकी है कि even in that state of extreme fever and delirium, उनके मुंह से अल्फाज निकल रहे हैं अल्लाह ताला के लिए, हालांकि वो अपनी महबूब बीवी के साथ है. He is not saying कि Aisha, I'm sorry, I'm leaving you here. No, he's connected to Allah Ta'ala and he's saying you are the best of companions, you're the highest of companions. In other words, he's happy to go to him. So that made me, as he's our prophet, he's our teacher, we're supposed to learn from him. We're supposed to follow whatever sunnah we can follow. So I said, okay, this is what I want to do, Allah Ta'ala. I want you to be my best friend in my life. ताकि जब मेरी मौत का टाइम आए तो मैंने यही फील करी हूँ कि मैं अपने बेस्ट फ्रेंड के पास जा रही हूँ, फिर डरना क्या, ये तो बहुत अच्छा टाइम है. And it really began to change the way I saw life, the way I saw death, and then constantly just practicing. क्योंकि जो आपका बेस्ट फ्रेंड होता है ना रामशा, आप उसके साथ नखरा भी करते हैं, आप उसके साथ लाड भी करते हैं, आप उसके साथ कभी कभी नाराज भी हो जाते हैं कि मुझे इतने दिनों से फोन क्यों नहीं किया, things like that. बेस्ट फ्रेंड की रिलेशनशिप बहुत डिफरेंट होती है, एंड योर बेस्ट फ्रेंड नोज यू लाइक नोबडी एल्स, एंड यू कैन काउंट ऑन योर बेस्ट फ्रेंड टू बी देयर व्हेन यू नीड हिम और नीड हर. So that started to cultivate it. And alhamdulillah, now I teach that to other people कि उसको बेस्ट फ्रेंड बना लें दुनिया में और फिर उसको बेस्ट फ्रेंड की तरह ट्रीट करें दुनिया में, क्योंकि वो इतना ज़र्फ वाला है कि जब हम वहाँ जाएंगे तो वो, आप खुद ही सोचें ना कि दुनिया में अगर आप उसको याद करते थे एज अ बेस्ट फ्रेंड, तो जब आप उसके पास जाएंगे, उसके मेहमान होंगे, तो क्या वो आपको उस चीज़ का याद नहीं रखेगा कि ये बेवकूफ़ सा इंसान मुझे दुनिया में बेस्ट फ्रेंड कहता था, मैं मालिक कायनात, किंग ऑफ किंग्स, ये बेवकूफ़, इसकी औकात नहीं है, बट ये फिर भी मुझे बेस्ट फ्रेंड कहता था. तो फिर ठीक है, फिर अल्लाह के ज़र्फ पे छोड़ें और हैव फेथ कि उसके जैसा ज़र्फ किसी का नहीं है. मुझे तो इस पे बहुत वो मिलती है कि I'm gonna be okay. I'm like that Bedouin that came to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asked him कि या मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, क़यामत के रोज़ मेरा फैसला कौन करेगा? तो या अल्लाह. And now Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was known for his kindness, but still he's asking that question, and Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Allah Ta'ala, and the Bedouin said बस फिर ठीक है, right? So that's the kind. I want to be like that Bedouin, and I have faith कि he will be kind, inshallah.
Allah will
he
not
will be
disappoint us, inshallah. So I want to ask you कि हमारी सोसाइटी में बचपन से ये सिखाया जाता है कि अगर आप ये नहीं करोगे तो अल्लाह नाराज़ हो जाएगा. If you do this, Allah will punish you. So the fear of Allah is instilled in us more than love of Allah. So वो बच्चे when they grow up to be adults who are detached from Allah. उन्हें ऐसा लगता है कि Allah is there to punish them only. So why do you think कि the love of Allah is more important for our generation than thinking about the fear of Allah? क्योंकि कुरान में भी there is a balance. कुछ आयतों में अल्लाह talks about the love that he has for us, and कुछ आयतों में अल्लाह हमें डराता भी है कि if you don't do it and if you take it for granted, you will be held accountable. So it's a mixture of both. That's because कुछ personalities are driven by love और कुछ personalities are driven by fear. And as far as I know you are driven by love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So can you please elaborate more on this?
That's a beautiful question, Ramsha, because आपने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा है. एक तो reason ये भी है कि some personalities are driven by love. उनसे अगर आप डराने धमकाने की बात करेंगे तो वो बिल्कुल opposite चले जाएंगे. Like I did, I rebelled because I am driven by love. Taqwa is an important one of the foundations of Islam. And usually अगर आप किसी से पूछे तकवा का क्या मतलब है, तो वो कहेंगे कि fear of Allah. Actually, that is a definition, but it is a superficial definition. I would say that the deeper definition of taqwa is a constant, compassionate awareness of Allah Ta'ala. Awareness meaning, जैसे जो आप बात कर रही थी कि मुझे हर चीज़ में अल्लाह ताला की तरफ ख्याल आता है, मेरा दिमाग बार बार अल्लाह ताला की तरफ जाता है. So that is taqwa. when you add compassion to it, कि I love Allah Ta'ala and Allah Ta'ala loves me, that becomes this constant compassionate awareness of Allah Ta'ala. In the Quran, actually, Allah Ta'ala talks about His mercy and love way more than the punishment. Now, why did He have to talk about punishment? अब आप अगर देखें, it's not really punishment that He's talking about. क्योंकि अगर आप जो मैं questions पूछती थी शुरू में, and since people couldn't answer me, so I just decided कि फिर ये किताब ही गलत है, नाउज़ुबिल्लाह. But then I later on understood कि they didn't have the understanding to answer my question. तो मैं छोटी सी ये questions पूछती थी कि when he is saying कि मैं रहमान हूँ और रहीम है, और रहमान और रहीम का मतलब है constantly and infinitely loving. तो constantly और infinitely loving जो है वो फिर punishment के टाइम पे हमसे नफरत कैसे कर सकता है? It's a contradiction. You see, हम human beings अपने behavior में हजारों दफा भी contradiction करें तो हम फिर भी human ही रहेंगे. हम इंसान हैं, खता का पुतले. खुदा की किसी भी बात एक दफा भी कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन आ जाए वो खुदा नहीं है. तो खुदा के कलाम में अगर कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन आ जाए तो फिर वो खुदा का कलाम नहीं है, क्योंकि वहां पे तो एक दफा की भी गुंजाइश नहीं है. राइट. सो देन लेटर आई रियलाइज्ड कि कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन नहीं है, अंडरस्टैंडिंग करेक्ट नहीं. सो अलाउ मी टू एक्सप्लेन दैट. व्हेन अ मदर टेल्स अ चाइल्ड कि बेटा ये स्टोव गर्म है, इसको हाथ नहीं लगाना, अगर हाथ लगाओगे तो जल जाओगे, और बार बार कहती है, कभी आवाज सख्त भी होती है उसकी कभी उसकी, बिकॉज शी लव्स द चाइल्ड सो मच कि कहीं ये जल ना जाए, ये हार्म ना हो जाए. बच्चा जाके फिर भी उसने स्टोव पे हाथ लगा लिया और हाथ जल गया, अब बहुत सब दर्द हो रही है. अब अगर वो बच्चा ये सोचे कि यू नो मॉम टोल्ड मी नॉट टू टच द स्टोव एंड आई डिड, नाउ शी इज पनिशिंग मी बिकॉज आई डिड दैट, तो वो एक बच्चे की नासमझी है. Mother is not punishing him. The mother knew the danger existed, so she warned him against it, but he still did it anyway, and now he's suffering the consequences of his actions. और उस वक्त जब बच्चा दर्द से बिलबिला रहा होता है तो उसकी मरहम पट्टी और उसकी देखभाल भी माँ ही कर रही हो. So this is the human experience, by the way. This is what we do in life. जब अल्लाह ने कुछ चीजें बता दी कि ये काम नहीं करने और ये काम करने हैं. I have done a lot of research and thinking about जिन चीजों को उसने गुनाह कहा है तो क्यों कहा है. ऐसे ही बस उसका शौक था कि पहले मैं लड़ती थी उससे कि इतनी टेम्पटेशन सामने रख के फिर हमारे अंदर वीकनेस भी डाल दी और फिर हमें कहा इनकी तरफ ना जाना, गुनाह मिलेगा और मैं सजा दूंगा. That's a very different concept, very disheartening concept, which, like you said, creates distance between banda and खुदा. But when you realize कि आप इस दुनिया में करने क्या आए हैं भाई, अच्छे खासे आप उधर जन्नत में एग्जिस्ट कर रहे थे एज अ रूह, राइट. अल्लाह ने जब सारी रूहें क्रिएट की थी तो उसने फिर पूछा अलस्ता बिरब्बिकुम, हमने वो वादा किया कि बला के तू ही हमारा रब है. तो फिर हम इस दुनिया में किसी पर्पस के लिए आए थे. जब हम इस दुनिया, रूह को बहुत अच्छी तरह से पता है कि अल्लाह से वो कनेक्टेड है और उसको अल्लाह से मोहब्बत है और उसको अल्लाह की मोहब्बत नरिश करती है, रूह को पता है. बट रूह जब ये इंसानी एक्सपीरियंस में आई, इस ह्यूमन बॉडी में आई जो कि लिमिटेड है और इसमें ये दिमाग है हमारा, तो रूह की जो याददाश्त थी वो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता भूलना शुरू हो गई. राइट. एज द बेबी ग्रोज तो उसकी रूह की याददाश्त कम हो जाती, क्योंकि देन द हमारा ब्रेन डेवलप होता है, यू नो, सारे जो इसके पार्ट्स हैं, द प्रीफ्रंटल कॉर्टेक्स, नियोकॉर्टेक्स, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा, और वो अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस की बेसिस पे कंप्यूटर की तरह हर चीज़ को कंप्यूट करने लग जाता है. अब यहाँ पे हमारी वो फॉल्स आइडेंटिटीज फॉर्म होती हैं, फॉल्स अटैचमेंट्स फॉर्म होती हैं, जो भी है. एंड दैट इज पार्ट ऑफ द जर्नी, दैट इज हाउ इट इज मेंट टू बी. पर्पस हमारा था कि हम दुनिया में आए, आके हम भूल जाए, महबूब को भूल जाए, और फिर इस दुनिया की उन चीज़ों में थोड़ी देर के लिए गुम भी हो, इसीलिए अट्रैक्टिव बनाई है, और and then somehow find our way back to God before we leave this planet. ये मेरी तज्जिया है, बिकॉज जब कुरान पढ़े तो कुरान में अल्लाह कहता है इंसान तुझे एक पर्पस के लिए बनाया और वो मेरी इबादत. अब इबादत आप बगैर लव के अगर कर रहे हैं तो किसी बुत को ही पूज रहे हैं ना. इबादत तो लव के साथ होती है. सो we were sent here to find our way back to that love, back to the truth, back to Allah Ta'ala. खुदा से बंदे को डिस्कनेक्ट कर दिया गया है। और ये बहुत बड़ा जुल्म है, बहुत बड़ा जुल्म, क्योंकि अल्लाह पाक को खुद इश्क है अपने बंदे से। वो जो आपने भी सुनी होगी हदीस है कि अगर एक डेजर्ट में किसी का कैमल गुम हो जाए, अब किसी बदू का, you know, for a Bedouin to lose his camel in the desert is certain and tragic death. बहुत ही खौफनाक मौत होती है। और फिर वो कैमल अचानक बगैर उसकी उम्मीद के बरखिलाफ अचानक वो ऊँट वापस आ जाए उसकी तरफ, तो जो खुशी उस बद्दू को होती है उस ऊँट को देख के, उससे कहीं ज्यादा खुशी अल्लाह ताला को होती है जब उसका भटका हुआ बंदा उसके पास वापस आ जाए। सो दैट इज हाउ मच अल्लाह ताला loves us, you know. तो बंदे को खुदा से डिस्कनेक्ट कर दिया गया, चाहे दीन के बहाने किया गया, you know. क्योंकि अगर आप एक बात सोचे रमशा, if I ask you, it's a very simple question, who is the one being that would love to disconnect Bani Adam from Allah Ta'ala? Who is that one being?
शैतान।
Yeah, उसका यही काम,
शैतान का काम ही यही है कि इंसान को होपलेस कर दे, that human loses
कर दे,
hope
अल्लाह
in
से
Allah।
डिस्कनेक्ट कर दे, अल्लाह की रहमत से मायूस कर दे। एग्जैक्टली। तो बट शैतान क्लेवर भी बहुत है, यू नो। वो किसी को किसी तरह से टेम्प्ट करता है, किसी को किसी तरह से। जिन लोगों की प्रोक्लेविटी या इंक्लिनेशन इज टुवर्ड्स रिलीजन, उनको फिर वो वहीं से आके पकड़ेगा कि भाई ये, और वो फिर दे विल बिकम डिस्कनेक्टेड फ्रॉम अल्लाह ताला। मैं इतनी इबादत गुजार नहीं हूँ रमशा। आई एम वेरी, you know, I'm not a very disciplined person. If I can keep my 5 prayers on a regular basis, मेरे लिए यही बहुत बड़ी बात है। तो मैं ज़्यादा जो आबिद और जाहिद लोग हैं, और may God bless them, that's wonderful. I'm just not made that way. So मैं इतनी नहीं हूँ, मैं कमीशन पे चलने वाला बंदा हूँ। तो मैंने उसके साथ यही कहा था कि अच्छा या अल्लाह, आपको इतना पसंद है ना कि आपका कोई भटका हुआ बंदा आपके पास वापस आ जाए। तो if I am able to do that, if I'm able to help bring even one person back to you, तो फिर मुझे माफ कर देना, मेरी माफ़रत कर देना, मेरा हिसाब किताब आसान। Right? So that's my passion, to help people connect with Allah Ta'ala.
Wow, mashallah. I want to ask you, what's the importance of gratitude? And in your course, you told that when you were going through severe depression, आपने अपने फ़ोन में एक घंटे के alarms लगाए थे, and whenever that alarm used to ring, you used to just think about one thing or something you're grateful for. And within a span of 2 to 3 months, you were completely out of depression. So can you please tell more about this?
Yeah, it was actually within a span of 2 to 3 weeks. It didn't even take 2 to 3 months. Yeah, it was very quick. So this is when I was learning about, I was mostly into self-development and mind sciences. And I learned about frequency, that this, if you want to understand the secrets, you know, Nikola Tesla said this too, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of frequency. And I do. Whatever you are emitting as your thoughts, as your emotions, we are constantly broadcasting different frequencies. आपको feel होता होगा अगर आप किसी शख्स के साथ बैठ के आपको बेचैनी शुरू हो जाती है, you want to get up and leave. किसी शख्स के साथ बैठ के आपका दिल चाहता है बैठ ही रहे. It's because of the frequency that their heart, their mind is emitting. कि आपकी जो perception है उसके मुताबिक आप दुनिया को देखते हैं, right? Glass half full है या half empty है? जो लोग half empty देखने के आती हैं, guaranteed आप उनको देखें, वो जिंदगी की हर चीज को उसमें वो नेगेटिव ठोकते हैं। जो ग्लास हाफ फुल देखने की आती हैं, वो मुसीबत में भी होंगे, मुश्किल में भी होंगे, तो दे विल फाइंड सम पॉजिटिव एंगल, सो इट चेंजेस योर परसेप्शन। बाद में अगर जब ज़्यादा डीपली उसको कुरान को पढ़ा तो अल्लाह ताला ने पहले ही फरमा दिया हुआ था कि अगर शुक्राना मेरा करोगे, जितना शुक्र करोगे उतना मैं तुम्हें नेमतें दूंगा ताकि तुम मजीद शुक्र कर सको। सो इट्स द सेम कॉन्सेप्ट, just languaging is different. So what I did, Ramsha, was कि when you are stuck in negativity, आपका फर्ज करें कोई हादसा हुआ, कोई डिवोर्स हुई, कोई ब्रेकअप हुआ, कोई somebody died, whatever, and कभी कभार ब्रेन उसमें उसको ट्रॉमा या शॉक लगी and it gets stuck. एक लूप में ब्रेन स्टक हो जाता है। अब वो चलता जा रहा है। The sympathetic nervous system is constantly running, and you need it to be switched off, and you need the parasympathetic nervous system to turn on again so that your brain is producing more serotonin and kind of things that give you peace and calm. अब ये कैसे करें? इसको reset कैसे करें? So I took my iPhone and I programmed it like if I am working, let's say 9 to 5, then every hour, top of the hour, a chime would go off, an alert would go off. And that would be a reminder to myself that I need to be grateful, because Joe Vitale's course said that if you can hold the frequency of gratitude for at least 30 seconds, you have to hold the frequency of gratitude. So ये ज़बानी नहीं कि अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह 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 और दफ़ा अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह की तस्बीह करनी, but feeling कोई आई नहीं. No, you have to feel that and you have to hold that frequency for at least 30 seconds. Then you will begin to see changes. He didn't recommend the alarm wali cheez wo मैंने खुद invent की थी. वो लोग तो morning and bedtime का recommend करते थे. So I did the morning and bedtime, but then I also did this one के 9 to 5 jitne bhi hours bante, and that many times, even if I was in a meeting, when I would hear the chime go off, for me it was, okay, I need to hold the frequency for gratitude for 30 seconds. And it could be for anything. Okay, I am so grateful. I'm loving this cup of tea. And then what I would do is, maybe instead of just taking a sip or swallowing it, I would let it sit on my tongue for a few seconds and really enjoy the taste, savor the taste, so that I could be in that, I'm so grateful. This is such great tea. I'm loving it right now. Right? It takes very little things. Yeah, jab bahut jaldi mein hu, or it's a really bad day and I can't find anything to be grateful for, then I would just think of the time when I first, held my daughters the first time that they were given to me. That always brought up a lot of joy, love, gratitude. So it could be something in the past, something happening right now, something that you hope to achieve in the future, that you can imagine I have achieved it and I'm feeling grateful. Doesn't matter what it is. Ek pen ke upar pakad ke I just love this pen. I'm so grateful I have. Whatever. Doesn't matter. You're supposed to just hold that frequency of gratitude. So I did that. Every hour I would just go into gratitude. And within 3 to 4 weeks, my depression was over, the anxiety was over. And then afterwards, I spoke to, when I launched my telesummit, I interviewed a few neurologists, and one was doing a research paper on the power of gratitude. And I told her, this is what I did. मैंने ये किया था. तो इसमें, what do you think happened? And she said, it's so brilliant because it's so simple. But basically, वो जो एक neural pathway बना हुआ है, and it's constantly running, we call it pattern interrupt. So every hour, you were doing a pattern interrupt. Every hour, it's running and you're doing a pattern interrupt. Okay, instead of focusing on negativity, I want to focus on the highest frequency, which is of gratitude. So when you do the pattern interrupt, enough times, the brain gets it. Okay, oh, she doesn't want me to run this cycle anymore. She wants me to run this other cycle. So in about 21 to maybe 60 days, it will flip. So that cycle will stop running and the other one will start. So ये accidentally मैंने discover किया था. मैं हर एक के साथ share करती हूँ. It works like magic. It works like a charm. Try it. One of the fastest ways to get out of depression or anxiety is this practice of gratitude.
And also, if someone can't do it every hour, रात को सोने से पहले और सुबह उठते वक्त, whatever we say to ourselves, whether we are in a state of gratitude or anxiety, it stays with us. And I tried that and it was very, very effective. On days when I did it, the first thing in the morning, I had such a beautiful day. And it's all about perception in the end. क्योंकि अल्लाह की मखलूक वैसे ही चल रही है जैसे चलती है. It's just that when you say I'm having a bad day or I'm having a good day, it's the perception of your mind.
Yeah.
So
because
gratitude truly affects us.
It truly does. आपका brain it's a very capable slave, basically. आप उसको जो orders देते हैं वो यही करता है. So the brain is constantly filtering information. And if you're used to thinking negatively, the brain says, okay, she wants me to keep showing her what is negative in her life. So I will show it to her.
Yeah.
But when you are waking up, क्योंकि जिस वक्त ये going to sleep and waking up का time होता है, where this very, very powerful subconscious mind is actually very receptive at that time, क्योंकि अभी conscious mind जो है is still half asleep, अभी fully on board नहीं आया होता, तो वो filtration process अभी इतनी नहीं चल रही हो. So अगर उस वक्त you make it a habit कि मैं उठते साथ अल्लाह का शुक्र अदा करूंगी, सोते वक्त अल्लाह का शुक्र अदा करूंगी, वो फौरन जाके आपकी प्रोग्रामिंग को चेंज कर देता है. So you're making change at the most effective level. And then when the conscious brain wakes up, तो orders उसके पहले से सामने आ चुके होते हैं. Marching orders आज के ये हैं कि रमशा को आज सिर्फ अच्छी चीजें दिखानी है, so she can be grateful for them. So your perception truly begins to change. Yes.
It's powerful how Allah has designed our body.
Yeah, and I want to add one thing here. It's not like you are fooling yourself. जब आपकी perception change होना शुरू होती है, your behavior changes. When you are a more hopeful, confident, happy person, you will make better choices. That will then begin to improve your life. So it's not just कि हम fluff create कर रहे हैं, शुरू में लगेगा, but actually your life will begin to improve because you will improve and you will make better choices in life.
Yeah, very true. So since I am on social media and I read a lot of comments of people, एक चीज़ मैंने ऑब्जर्व करी है कि कुछ लोगों में इबादत का गुरूर होता है, in which they feel कि क्योंकि हम फिक्स्ड चीज़ें करते हैं in terms of इबादत, we are more pious than others. और अल्लाह को गुरूर बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है, और इबादत का गुरूर बहुत ख़तरनाक है because it brings us very close to Shaitan. Also, I've seen hijabis judging non-hijabis or men judging women based on how much they cover themselves. But I've also observed people जो कि are very religious, but then they lack the basics of Islam. They lack the basic etiquettes जो हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने हमें सिखाए थे. So what do you think is a balance? Do you really feel कि एक इंसान जैसे अपने आप को दिखाता है, that's the true reflection of what is the condition of their soul and their heart? And is this how Allah sees us as well?
No, this is such an important question, Ramsha, because for the longest time, as I mentioned earlier, I had a kind of a tumultuous relationship with Allah Ta'ala. A big part of it was because I never felt welcome in Islam by the Muslim women that I was seeing in those days. My mother was a very devout Muslim woman. May Allah Ta'ala increase the darajat, Ameen. So, Allah ne kaha hai ki the best amongst you is who is better in taqwa. Okay, how do you measure taqwa? आप किसी के दिल में झांक के तो देख ही नहीं सकते, ये राइट सिर्फ अल्लाह ने अपने पास रखा हुआ है. We have to learn to dialogue. We have to become flexible. We have to become tolerant. अल्लाह ने हर इंसान को डिफरेंट बनाया. रमशा, हो सकता है आपको जैसे आप कह रही हो, अल्लाह की बातें करते हुए आपको मे बी सुरूर महसूस होता है and you connect with Allah Ta'ala. Maybe आप जब नमाज पढ़ती हैं, maybe you connect with Allah Ta'ala during that time. For me, when I am driving, long drives used to connect me with Allah Ta'ala because it was kind of hypnotic. So sometimes a beautiful soul that talks about Allah Ta'ala puts me in a state of trance. हर कोई different है, हर शख्स different है, हर एक का blueprint different है, उसका अपना तरीका है. कुछ लोग कुरान पढ़ते हुए ऐसे महव हो जाते हैं कि वो बस उसमें खो जाते हैं. So let people be, क्योंकि अल्लाह ने जिसको जिस तरह का बनाया है वो उसी तरह से connect. So let people be. Don't try to interfere between banda's relationship with Allah Ta'ala. That is the biggest crime, I think. It's criminal to interfere between a human being's relationship with Allah.
हमारे दीन में अलग अलग पर्सनालिटी टाइप्स होना बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि सब अगर एक से हो जाएंगे, हाउ विल वी ग्रो? इवन व्हेन वी सी द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ सहाबाज, अबू बकर रजी अल्लाह ताला अन्हु was very introvert, he was very polite, whereas Umar रजी अल्लाह ताला अन्हु was a very bold personality.
Very big personality.
But then Huzur sallallahu alaihi wasallam embraced both of them because both of them were important for the growth of this deen. And which is the exact thing that you were talking about, कि हर किसी का blueprint different है, पर हर किसी को अल्लाह ने बनाया है और किसी वजह से बनाया है.
बिल्कुल, और उसका रोल और पर्पस अल्लाह बेहतर जान, राइट? सो आपने हज़रत उमर और हज़रत अबू बकर की मिसाल दी है, एंड हज़रत उमर इज़ वन ऑफ माय फेवरेट पर्सनैलिटीज़ टू स्टडी, बिकॉज़ वो उनके अंदर जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन थी ना, वो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है, क्योंकि हज़रत अबू बकर काइंड ऑफ रिमेन द सेम। ही
Yeah.
वाज़ द बेस्ट फ्रेंड ऑफ रसूल पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, और फौरन ईमान ले आए, और उनकी पर्सनैलिटी प्रीटी मच सेम ही रही, राइट? बट हज़रत उमर वेंट थ्रू अ ड्रास्टिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन. He completely changed when he became a Muslim. And so it's very interesting to study him as a human. Again, as a human being, it's very interesting to study him. He was a very loud, kind of aggressive personality. वो desert में बड़ी hardship में उन्होंने बचपन और जवानी गुजारी थी. His father was a very harsh man. And if you look at it कि अल्लाह की हिकमत को अगर देखें तो down the road, जब वो खलीफा बने थे, तो जो फतूहात इस्लाम की उनके अंडर हुई थी, और एंड द स्टेट्समैन
Yes.
दैट ही बिकेम, आज तक दुनिया में इतना स्क्वायर माइल्स रकबा किसी ने फतह नहीं किया जितना हज़रत उमर रज़ी अल्लाह तआला अन्हु ने किया था. ही इज एक्चुअली द बिगेस्ट कॉन्करर ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड, जो कि लोग रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं करते अनफॉर्चुनेटली. But you see all of that, and you see that kind of a personality was actually needed. Now, when he became a Muslim, and then especially when he became a caliph, आप देखें कि उन्होंने कितना अपनी पर्सनैलिटी पे काम किया कॉन्शियसली. वो बार बार बोलते थे कि अल्लाह ताला मेरे अंदर नरमी लेके आ, क्योंकि अब उनको पता था उनका रोल चेंज हो गया. ही इज द खलीफा, ही इज अमीरुल मोमिनीन. अब उनको अपने अंदर नरमी, एम्पैथी, कंपैशन ज्यादा लाना पड़ेगा. You know, and our leaders can really take heed from that. I wish this could be taught in leadership classes, in leadership education, not just as a dullah, but as a Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam की लाइफ को भी आप देखें, जिस रोल में देखें आप, excellence के लेवल पे आपको नजर आता है, balance, you know, and as a leader also, रसूल पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, again, excellence के लेवल पे आपको balance नजर आएगा. But when you study as a Umar, you see something different, you know, because he needed to be a conqueror. He needed to be the ruler of a very fast expanding state. I mean, did you know, Ramsha, that he was able to conquer two of the world's superpowers, जो 400 साल से undefeated थी.
Yes.
He took them on simultaneously and defeated them. I mean, wow. How can you even think about it?
Yes.
Because it was a
Yes.
fledgling army that the Muslims had, a new state, infancy में एक state है. वो super powers कितने सौ सालों से हैं और आपस में लड़ के एक दूसरे को हरा नहीं सके. I mean, amazing when you read his story. It's just amazing. And then you look at somebody like Khalid-ibn-Waleed, another personality. You know, study the life of Khalid-ibn-Waleed. एक बिल्कुल डिफरेंट पर्सनैलिटी आपको नजर आए. When he was the conqueror, यानी टाइम ये आ गया था, I'm kind of digressing a little bit, but I want to share this, कि जब हज़रत Khalid bin Waleed was the general who helped with the conquest of these big battles, तो मुसलमानों में ये बात आना शुरू हो गई थी कि अगर Khalid bin Waleed इस जंग में है तो हम जीत जाएंगे. And at the peak of his career, Hazrat Umar sacked. And he became a regular soldier. Why did Hazrat Umar do it? Because लोगों का ईमान अल्लाह से उठ के खालिद बिन वलीद पे आ गया. बहुत बड़े सहाबी, इतने ऊंचे सहाबी, पर हजरत उमर had that acumen कि नहीं, लोगों का ईमान अल्लाह पे होना चाहिए, खालिद बिन वलीद पे नहीं होना चाहिए. आगे से आप खालिद बिन वलीद को देखें, उनका ईमान, उनका सबमिशन देखें कि he could have made a fuss about it. What are you doing? I'm a general, and now you want me to be an ordinary soldier taking orders from people that were under me? No, he knew कि मैं सैफुल्लाह थे ना, अल्लाह की तलवार हूँ, मैंने अल्लाह के लिए लड़ना है. मुझे अब आप जनरल बना दें या मुझे सिपाही बना दें, मेरा पर्पस मेरे लिए बहुत क्लियर है. These are examples of such amazing personalities. और कहाँ ये अपने नफ्स को काबू में लाते थे, किस तरीके से, क्योंकि ये इंसान थे. We keep forgetting कि सहाबा को थे, but they were humans. And they constantly practice this कि मैंने ego को नहीं आने देना, मैंने नफ्स को काबू में करना है. And those are the examples we need to learn from and emulate. क्योंकि हम सबकी जिंदगी में ये कहीं ना कहीं examples implement हो सकते हैं.
Sahabas की personalities ऐसी थी that they did everything for Allah and they never let their ego overpower them. And talking about this, I also want to talk about the women in the era of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Would you like to talk about the personality types that we had and how women were empowered during the time of Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam versus the women now?
Now, this question you asked towards the end, Ramsha, although this is a question I could probably speak for hours on because this is my passion. I will try to stay brief. First of all, the empowerment that Islam brought for women almost 1500 years ago was unheard of. It had never happened in the history of the world.
Yes.
And Islam empowered women, gave them so many rights, but they were in balance because ये जो empowerment का formula था, ये आया था उसकी तरफ से जिसने दुनिया बनाई है, जिसने औरत बनाया है, जिसने मर्द बनाया है, जिसको अच्छी तरह से पता है कि औरत में क्या लिमिटेशंस है, मर्द में क्या लिमिटेशंस है, औरत में क्या स्ट्रेंथ्स है, मर्द में क्या स्ट्रेंथ्स है. वो सब जानता था कि माशरे में बैलेंस क्रिएट करने के लिए इनको क्या रोल्स और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज देनी चाहिए और उसके साथ साथ फ्रीडम्स. That was the perfect model for empowerment of women and also for a healthy society. And if you ask me कि उस ज़माने में औरतों की क्या राइट्स थे, अगर आज की औरत को पता चल जाए, they will be shocked. जब मैं अपनी अमेरिकन फ्रेंड्स के साथ बैठ के बात करती हूँ औरतों के राइट्स की, they get shocked because to this day they don't have those kinds of rights. लगता है कि उनके बहुत से राइट्स हैं, but actually they have been given the short end of the stick through this, the feminist movement, which has done a lot of good stuff. I'm not saying that, but इसमें औरतों को बहुत नुकसान हुआ है. Since the 60s, they've been measuring, and the depression and the anxiety rate of women have skyrocketed. तो अगर इतने rights मिल गए थे, तो actually तो stress should have gone down, but it has actually skyrocketed. मुसलमान औरतें अगर तब की उस वक्त की सहाबियात जो मुसलमान औरतें थी, अगर आज की मुसलमान औरतों को देखेंगी तो यकीन करें, I'm being a bit harsh, but they will be disgusted. They will disown them. कि ये क्या है? ये बेचारियां, ये victims, हम तो बेचारी नहीं है, वो तो शेरनियां थी. The first shaheed of Islam was a woman. The first believer of Islam was a woman, Hazrat Khadija. ये believe नहीं करती थी victimhood में और बेचारी होने में. I mean, Hazrat Sumayya, as you know, was a slave and she was elderly. और उन्होंने इतनी सख्त सख्तियां बर्दाश्त की और शहीद हो गई, लेकिन ईमान से नहीं हटी. Hazrat Khadija रज़ी अल्लाह तआला अन्हा was the princess of Mecca. She was not somebody just ordinary. She was actually the princess. She lived the life of luxury. She was considered a princess. और क्या उनके पास कमी थी? किसी चीज की कमी नहीं. But she chose to stay with her husband, the Prophet. She chose to go into exile, by the way. At the end, जब exile में थे नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, शाब अबी तालिब में, तो उन्होंने the Quraysh had given leave to Hazrat Khadija because she was from a very high clan कि आपकी, you don't have to go into exile. आपको हम कुछ नहीं कहेंगे. But she chose कि नहीं, जहाँ पे मेरे husband है, जहाँ पे मेरा prophet है, मैं वहीं पे जाऊँ. तो एक comfort की जिंदगी गुजारने वाली खातून इतनी strong, वो जाके उनके साथ भूख प्यास पत्ते खा रही है. And eventually she passed away in that state because of the hardship of Shab Abi Talib. The most respected scholar of fiqh and hadith was Hazrat Aisha radhiyallahu ta'ala. कितने बड़े बड़े सहाबी including the caliphs would come to Hazrat Aisha for किसी मसले के ऊपर अगर पूछना है और कोई discuss करना है. So I believe it was during the time of Hazrat Umar, if I'm not mistaken, the finance minister was a woman. So many positions were held by women. Women saw their role as a very important and integral part of the society. They saw that we need to be strong individuals, we need to be strong in ईमान, because हमारी responsibility है उम्मत को raise कर. मैं बार बार कहती हूँ, एक weak माँ strong मर्द नहीं जान सकती, वो उनको नहीं strong मर्द बना सकती. आपकी इस वक्त मुसलमान उम्मत की fastest way to going back to, being an ummah of glory is to empower the women. जब से औरतों की disempowerment शुरू हुई है, अब आप देखें, we have man-childs, a lot of our Muslim men are just man-childs. They are not what you would call a man. जो definition Islam की है for a man, वहाँ पे वो पूरे नहीं उतरे. They have become controlling. There's a lot of misogyny. There's a lot of, insecurity in men. And the problem that is happening is, who are these empowered women going to marry and stay with? Because if a man is going to be, nahi, mera to God-given right hai to control women and I'm supposed to be superior to you, it's not going to work. So we really are at a crisis point. हमें बहुत जल्दी ये बैठ के दोबारा से अपना ये देखना पड़ेगा. मैं ये नहीं कहती कि कोई जिद्दत पैदा करें दीन में. मैं नहीं कहती कि कोई नई चीज़ निकाले. मैं कहती हूँ कि हमें वो चीज़ दें जो नबी लेके आए थे. अल्लाह के नबी और अल्लाह ने जो कहा था, हमें वो चीज़ चाहिए 1400-1500 साल पहले जो आई थी. हमें वो चाहिए. Because that worked. That is what created the ummah that then ruled over the world. और फाइनली मैं ये कहूँगी कि अगर औरतों की empowerment इतनी important चीज़ ना होती, तो नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम अपने आखिरी खुतबे में, when he knew that he is leaving his ummah, he would obviously talk about the things that are most important for the betterment of the ummah. His last khutbah had a huge focus on the rights of women. बार-बार नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने कहा कि देखो औरतों के हुकूक की को प्रोटेक्ट करना. And that is what we veered away from. So now I say, Ramsha, it is now upon women like you and I, especially you, because you're, mashallah, from the younger generation. अब ये हमारा फर्ज है कि हम वेट करना छोड़ दें कि कोई नाइट इन शाइनिंग आर्मर्स आएंगे, वो हमें आके कोई हज़रत उमर या हज़रत अली की तरह के लोग आएंगे जो हमें हमारे राइट्स दिलवाएंगे. वो हस्तियाँ चली गई हैं. अब हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, for our sakes and for our daughters and for our granddaughters and actually for the ummah, for our men also. We must fight for our God-given rights. ये हमारा फर्ज है. ये अल्लाह ताला ने हमें कहा है अपने राइट्स के लिए फाइट करें. and let's move towards true empowerment. क्योंकि मैं बार बार कहती हूँ ये जो वेस्टर्न मॉडल है इसको ना फॉलो करें, ये टूटा हुआ है. This is only going to create more stress and anxiety and it will break up the family unit.
So जो modern feminist movement है, they are actually activating the masculine in the females. So इसकी वजह से हार्मोनल इम्बैलेंस भी हो गया है in the females these days, which is also the biggest cause of infertility because there are high levels of testosterone in the body. Whereas when we see the males, they are now inclining more towards the feminine side more than their masculine. So this imbalance in the society is something which is affecting our society to a point कि आज लोगों को gender identity issues होने लग गए हैं. So when we talk about Islam, it is a healthy mixture of masculine and feminine, and they both build a family together. And if we run after the westernized vision of it, we have already seen the consequences. But Islam, I feel, is a very healthy mixture of masculine and feminine energy.
बिल्कुल आप ठीक कह रही है रमशा. देखिए, जब आप किसी से गाड़ी खरीदते हैं ना, let's say you're going to buy a Ferrari, you're going to look at the owner's manual that is given to you by the manufacturer because they know how to best use that car. Similarly, for a Toyota, you will have a different set of instructions on how to use that. They're very good cars, but they perform very differently. So, हमें owner's manual जो manufacturer ने दिया था, we veered away from it, right? अल्लाह ताला ने कुरान में अपने नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के थ्रू बता दिया था कि मर्द का रोल क्या है, औरत का रोल क्या है. अगर हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ है उसमें रोल्स एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज क्या हैं, बहन भाई का क्या है, माँ बाप का क्या, सारे रोल्स डिफाइन कर दिए गए थे. बिकॉज अल्लाह इज द वन हु क्रिएटेड अस. उसको मालूम है कि सर्टेन एक्टिविटीज आर गोइंग टू थ्रो वुमन आउट ऑफ बैलेंस एंड सर्टेन एक्टिविटीज इफ दे आर नॉट परफॉर्म्ड आर गोइंग टू थ्रो अ मैन आउट ऑफ बैलेंस. अब मर्दों में नेचुरल अग्रेशन है. you're supposed to be, अगर फाइट करते हैं, they protect, unki certain hunting, ye wo, those things actually regulate testosterone in the body. औरत का nervous system Allah Ta'ala ने बड़ा हसास बनाया. It's not inferior to a man's. It's very, very different, and it's very sensitive. And it had to be sensitive.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it had to be
Yes,
sensitive.
it's powerful
because
as well.
we are the nurturers, right? Women are the nurturers, and we have to raise babies, children. So हमारा brain अगर देखें तो at the same time can do many different things. And typically a man's brain is very focused. It's very linear. इसलिए कि औरत ने अगर 4 बच्चे हैं तो ये भी याद रखना है वो वहां चढ़ा हुआ है, वो उसकी भूख का टाइम हो गया, उसका डायपर चेंज हो, and I also have to cook for my husband and also. So that's how our brains work. But a woman's brain, I feel strongly, was not designed to take long-term stress. ये जो दुनिया की long-term stress है या even family की long-term stress है. So अल्लाह ने औरत को, अगर हम एक्चुअली इस्लाम को पढ़े, मेरा जब साहिरुद्दीन के साथ पॉडकास्ट हुआ था तो आई लव व्हाट ही सेड, क्योंकि आई वाज सेइंग कि अल्लाह हैज अ सॉफ्ट कॉर्नर फॉर वुमेन, एंड ही सेड मैं तो जी इससे भी आगे जाके कहता हूँ कि इस्लाम तो नखरा उठाता है औरत का. और इस्लाम क्यों नखरा उठाता है कि क्योंकि एक तो अल्लाह ने डिजाइन उसको इस तरह किया है कि शी कैन गिव यू ऑप्टिमल आउटपुट इफ शी इज nurtured, she feels protected, she feels happy. आपको वो बेहतरीन बच्चे पाल के देगी, आपको वो बेहतरीन घर का माहौल देगी. As a man, you are going to be so satisfied, you will go fight the world, you will come home to your sanctuary. ये सारे का सारा अब हमने मामला बहुत बिगाड़ दिया. I always say I'm a poster child of the Western feminist movement because whatever I achieved without the help of a man. Financial independence, my freedom, everything. और उसका नतीजा ये निकला है कि I would not wish that upon my daughters. I don't want them to have to go through that. I would like them to be financially independent, yes, but I would like them to find mates that are according to the Islamic blueprint and be the protectors and guardians. ये बात नहीं है कि for example, you live in Australia, I've lived in America. The laws are very good. They protect women, etc., etc. बात ये नहीं है कि आपको, you need protection. Yes, there are laws there to protect you. But still, a woman feels happiest. उसकी psyche अल्लाह ने ये बनाई है कि when she feels that, I have this guy on my back. He's got my back. He's my guardian. He's my protector. She may not need it, but knowing that he's there is very, very important. So we have to completely revisit the formula कि इस्लाम ने क्या कहा था और क्यों कहा था, और आजकल की society में based on these modern times that we live in, how can we implement that formula instead of trying to follow the West? Because like you said, Western feminist movement ने ये निकाला कि जी men have been ruling us, we want equal rights and we want to be like men. Whatever men do, we want to do it too. So they became very masculine, like you were saying. Masculine energy requires a lot of adrenaline. It is damaging to a woman's body. You age faster, you get wrinkles faster, and it really messes up your nervous system. So that was not how it was supposed to be. So we have to really have some conversations, discussions. Okay, if a woman has a career, then what does she do about children? Should she stop working while she's having children? If that's the case, up to modern times, should the man compensate her because she's putting her career on hold? He's still going to have his career, and 25 years later, maybe he decides to get divorced. Well, her career went sideways many years ago in order to raise the children. What security does she have? We need to have all these discussions because Islam ने कदम कदम पे औरत को financial security provide की थी उस ज़माने के लिहाज से. Everywhere the woman was taken care of financially. Now that we're in these modern times, our scholars need to sit down and figure out कि अल्लाह और अल्लाह के नबी इस चीज़ को प्रायोरिटी देते थे कि औरत को फाइनेंशियल सिक्योरिटी दी जाए. तो फिर आजकल के टाइम्स में हम कौन से रूल्स बना सकते हैं, कौन से लॉज बना सकते हैं जिसकी बेसिस पे औरत को भी हर हाल में शी शुड हैव दैट सिक्योरिटी इन हर माइंड कि आई विल बी फाइनेंशियली सिक्योर. दूसरी चीज़ ये है रमशा, एक और चीज़ जो हमें बहुत सीरियसली देखनी पड़ेगी और हमें इसको रिकंसिडर करना पड़ेगा कि इस्लाम में तलाक उस ज़माने में अलाउ की गई थी जिस ज़माने में कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं था, राइट? आई मीन यू हैड टू डाई, whoever you married you had to die. So क्यों की गई थी? आई मीन या तो हम आज कह दें कि हम नाउज़ुबिल्लाह अल्लाह से ज़्यादा बेहतर जानते हैं, सो बेटी का जनाजा निकलना चाहिए शादी के बाद, या कुछ हो जाए किसी तरीके से करो, शादी चलाओ, इवन इफ यू आर मिजरेबल विद ईच अदर एंड इट्स अ टॉक्सिक मैरिज, शादी चलाओ. अल्लाह ने तो ये नहीं कहा. अल्लाह ने तो कहा कि उसके जायज़ कामों में से नापसंदीदा है, लेकिन हराम तो नहीं कहा, मकरूह भी नहीं कहा, जायज़ है. Because there are people who can be the best of human beings and they can't get along. I usually give the example of Hazrat Zaid, who was the adopted son of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Hazrat Zainab, best of human beings, couldn't get along, got divorced.
Yeah.
So we, but वो माशरा जो था ना, उसमें तलाक याफ्ता औरत और बेवा औरत ज़्यादा देर फारिग नहीं रहती. फौरन शादी हो, इज्जत पूरी होती थी, and there would be people waiting to marry her because it was understood that single people are unhappy people and a source of fitna in the society. So fitne ko aap jad se ukhad dete the. They would be in happy, secure homes. So we need to reconsider all of this now. Okay, how do we move forward? So the empowerment of women is going to require multiple faceted approach, and we have to sit down and redefine what truly is an empowered woman. We have to really understand that as well. Because it's definitely not what the West says. That's not an empowered woman.
I want you to elaborate on why it is very important for a woman today to be financially independent.
Dekhiye, Ramsha, I feel empowerment of women cannot happen unless she is financially independent. अगर माँ बाप है, अब मेरे माँ बाप ने मैं बहुत लाड प्यार से पली थी. I was a princess in my family. But my mother was of the opinion that, degrees के हाथ में ना आए ये ताकि, she should go and अपने ससुराल में adjust कर सके. What she did not realize, because they had a happy marriage, she hadn't seen any abusive marriages in her experience. So, of course, then I had to struggle a lot, right? And it wasn't until I had my own business, I was completely financially independent, that I was really able to enjoy freedom. A lot of women don't leave abusive situations because they are so financially dependent on the husband or the parents. And majority of parents don't encourage the daughter to get divorced. कि नहीं, हम नहीं अफोर्ड कर सकते तुम्हें, या तुम्हारा बोझ अब हम नहीं उठा सकते, हम तुम्हें भेज चुके हैं तुम्हारे ससुराल. तो वो खुद भी अपना बोझ उठाते वक्त डरती है कि what am I going to do? Is she going to be out on the street? Is she going to what is going to happen to the children? And इस वजह से अगर वो मैरिज अब्यूसिव नहीं भी है तो बहुत कंट्रोलिंग इन्वायरमेंट में रहती है. देखिए, इस्लाम ने कहीं पर भी अनड्यू पावर बैलेंस नहीं किए. हर जगह पे पावर को बैलेंस किए. अगर किसी की पोजीशन इंक्रीज की है तो दूसरे के राइट्स इंक्रीज कर, राइट? वो जो कहते हैं एक दर्जा अल्लाह ताला ने खाविंद को ऊपर दिया है, लेकिन उसके साथ साथ बीवी के राइट्स बहुत इंक्रीज करती है और उसकी खाविंद की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बहुत ज्यादा इंक्रीज करती है. There are a lot of women who are very talented. They have a lot of amazing gifts. They could be scientists. They could be all kinds of things. पहले ज़माने में इतनी ख़वातीन मुसलमान औरतें मुफ्ती होती थी, मुहद्दिसात होती थी, इतनी खिदमात उन्होंने अंजाम दी, right? Because they had that independence. But जब वो ख़त्म हुआ तो we see this shrinkage happening where women are mostly housewives. And even when I see, because मेरे 30 days transformation course में बहुत सी ऐसी ख़वातीन भी आती हैं who are making good money. They have good careers, they're doctors, they're engineers, but they have no willpower. वो उनकी ख़त्म कर दी गई है कि you have to do what the in-laws say, what the husband says. And that is not Islamic. इस्लाम में ऐसी कोई कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है कि आप अपनी मर्जी ज़बरदस्ती किसी के ऊपर ठोसे. ऐसा कोई कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं है. अगर if you are doing that and the other आई मीन आपको फिर मैं एग्जाम्पल हज़रत ज़ैनब का देती हूँ कि वो उनको वो रिश्ता करवाने वाले नबी करीम उनकी मर्जी से रिश्ता हुआ। जब उनके डिफरेंसेस शुरू हुए एंड शी सेड आई एम नॉट हैप्पी विद ज़ैद, तो बीच में पढ़ के समझाने बुझाने वाले भी नबी करीम सोचे आप। और उन्होंने उनसे कहा कि ये आपका मशवरा है या आपका हुक्म है, यानी आर यू सेइंग दिस टू मी एज अल्लाह's नबी और इज दिस जस्ट योर एडवाइस एज यू नो माय फैमिली मेंबर? एंड ही सेड ये मेरा मशवरा है। एंड शी सेड देन आई विल रिस्पेक्टफुली डिक्लाइन इट। आप सोचिए, आई मीन दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ एम्पावरमेंट एंड फ्रीडम that was given to women by Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Allah Ta'ala. She had the right to make a decision about her life. That we must now realize that in order for our daughters, in order for our girls, our women, not to be abused and not to be oppressed, we must make them financially independent. This is one of the key steps that must happen. Stand that.
Yes, I very strongly agree.
And talks like these are so important, Ramsha, because we have to start talking about it. We have to get our voices out there. ये बातें पहुंचनी चाहिए लड़कियों तक, औरतों तक, बार बार.
Also, I feel कि education जो है वो दिमाग को खोलती है. The conversations that you do level up. And also financial independence जो है it boosts the confidence. एक confidence जो financial independence लेके आती है, it's unmatchable with anything else.
I agree.
And which is why I strongly feel that women should be financially independent, because if they choose to stay in any situation which is compromising, it's their decision. वो उनकी मजबूरी नहीं होती. Which is why education and financial independence both are very important for women these days.
100%. Totally agreed.
I want to discuss regarding abusive marriages. Should women stay in abusive marriages just because it's not a usual norm in the society now, and divorce is a taboo now?
No. The short answer is no. They should not. And I cited some reasons earlier already. This is not what Allah Ta'ala wants from you. Do not call it sabr. Because what Allah wants is कि उसके ऊपर तवक्कुल करें और faith करके देखें कि वो आपको इस situation में से किस तरह निकालता है. But I just want to say briefly about abusive marriages कि आप ज़्यादातर अपने आप को ये कह रहे होते हैं कि I'm doing this because of my kids. And actually there is overwhelming data, scientific data that proves that the abuse in a marriage has far more damaging effects on the children than if the parents got divorced. And actually, if the parents get divorced and even one of the parent is able to provide a stable household, तो बच्चों का actually वो damage minimize बहुत हद तक हो जाता है. If you choose to get divorced, it is not the divorce that is very damaging to the child. It is the behavior of the divorcing parents during and after divorce. If you become toxic, crazy people, you are really going to damage your children.
And also, हमारे दीन में जुल्म करना और बर्दाश्त करना दोनों मना है.
और जुल्म बर्दाश्त करना सब्र नहीं है.
औरतों को जुल्म बर्दाश्त करने के लिए नहीं बनाया.
This is what they say. इतनी साबर औरत, इतनी साबर, जैसे सबर सिर्फ अल्लाह ताला ने औरतों के लिए उतारा है. I mean, this is something we need to, as women, we really need to think about. कि Allah likes women who have the courage to be authentic and to fight for their rights. Allah likes that. And then He will help you. So, फिर डर किस बात का? जब मालिक कायनात आपकी साइड पे है, तो फिर डर किस बात? उस माशरे की बातें आपने सुननी है जो आपको बस माशरा बहुत साबिर हो. जिस वक्त रात के अंधेरे में आप तकलीफ में रो रही है and you're hopeless and depressed, उस वक्त उस माशरे की वाह आपको क्या देती? कुछ भी नहीं देती. You know? लेकिन अगर अपने रब के भरोसे पे आपने खड़े होकर रब की ईमा पे खड़ी हुई आप कि मेरा रब मुझसे ये चाहता है, उसने मुझे ये हकूक दी है, तो फिर वो आपका जब साथ देगा, माशरा सारा एक तरफ हो जाए. You don't need माशरा. You just need the approval of your best friend, जो हर चीज पे कादिर है, right? और आपके बच्चे नहीं हैं. ये बच्चे जिसके हैं उसने आपको थोड़ी देर के लिए दिए. ये उसके बच्चे हैं. याद रखिए ये बात. हम भी उसके, बच्चे भी उसके. वो बहुत अच्छी तरह जानता है इन बच्चों की टेक केयर कैसे करनी है। रब उनका वो है, ना मैं हूं, ना आप है, ना उनका बाप है, वही रब है। सो रब के ऊपर भरोसा करना सीखिए।
I guess a lot of women will find courage in this because it's mainly because of the kids that ladies keep on putting with the abuse. But अगर women ये समझ जाएं कि खालिक और रज़ाक अल्लाह है and he will provide for the kids, they can move on with their life क्योंकि जब हम एक टॉक्सिक पाथ बंद करेंगे तभी तो दूसरा रास्ता शुरू होगा. So thank you so much, Iram ma'am, for your time today. And I hope that we do a part 2 for this video. Inshallah, a lot of people would be waiting for it. And
जरूर।
if anyone of you is interested in the 30-day transformation course, I highly recommend it. And uska link aapko pinned comment mein mil jayega. Do check it out. It's a course that actually taught me many coping mechanisms, and if you are struggling in your life with anything and if you're going through mental health issues, I highly encourage you to enroll in this course.
Yes, and then I wanted to tell your listeners that if they use the link that you're talking about, they will actually get a discount on this course. And it's not just about learning some of the coping mechanisms, but really also transforming them कि वो जड़ से वो चीज़ किस तरह निकालनी है ताकि जिंदगी में आगे बढ़ते जाएं. It combines a lot of mind sciences techniques and spirituality. And I know since you have a huge audience in India, there will be a lot of non-Muslims also wondering whether they can take this course. So I have had non-Muslims who take this course. दूसरा मैंने आपसे कहना था Ramsha, thank you so much for all the wonderful work that you're doing. I honestly just love that. I'm so grateful to you that you are stepping up and you are being a role model for so many women. It is so important right now. So I am grateful for that. Thank you for that. And aapne mentioned kiya tha कि we should have a part 2. I would love to have part 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, because
I am super excited for part 2 because I will be asking you inside questions of all the techniques that you teach in the course. So hoping for it to happen soon,
sure.
inshallah.
And I would also say that maybe your listeners can suggest some, if they want further clarifications on what we talked about, aapko wo comments bheje, and we can create a talk around that as well. Like I said, it's really time to start for women to start helping other women, boosting each other up, lifting each other up. So however I can help support you and your community, I would love to do that. I would be honored, actually.
Thank you so much for doing this, and may Allah Ta'ala bless you with all the things that you're doing to uplift this community.
Thank you as well. Thank you for your prayers. Always need prayers. So my request for prayers for everybody listening as well, for both Ramsha and I. May Allah Ta'ala guide you as well, and may Allah Ta'ala really bless you with all the blessings that you pray for and more, inshallah.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.